warm summer's evening, standing on the mound. The ballpark's full of cheering crowd. Home team's back in town with all pitches.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition, a special edition of the Painting Corners Baseball Podcast. I'm your co-host, as always, Johnny C., joined tonight in the studio by Aiden Smith and none other than Courtney from Glove Actually. Shout out Courtney, we'll be talking about the WBC preview, which team had the best offseason, and what's going on with Glove Actually. Welcome to the podcast, Courtney. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Aiden, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Johnny. I'm happy to say that we have a celebrity on the pod, followed by MLB on Threads. Yeah. I don't think anyone can see, but Courtney is blushing on the pod. We haven't moved the pod to video yet, but
welcome to the pod. It's nice to be around fame, gracing the PC fam.
Stop. Oh my gosh.
We're happy
you guys
to be
are too
here.
Sweet. I am so excited to be here. We had Aiden on an episode of Glove Actually a few weeks ago, and we kind of unpacked a lot of what had happened in the offseason up until that point. But after we had Aidan on, there were still like tons of moves to come. So I'm so excited to be here and kind of break down everything that's happened. Spring training just started. And there's already been some interesting things that have gone down. So I'm really excited to break all that down with you guys.
Aiden, where do you want to jump in? Or Courtney, do you want to?
Oh, no. This is your bus. Go ahead and take the wheel.
I do want to get into the background on Glove Actually. We'll have that on the back end right before we plug you, plug your socials. So for the WBC preview, I think that's a good place to start. One thing that I want to know, Courtney, is, who are you excited to watch? Specific player, who do you have winning? And then who's your dark horse team?
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to be very honest, because the World Baseball Classic does not happen every year. Whenever it does come up, it's sort of one of those things that I'm like, oh yes, this is a thing. And because there's been so much movement in the off season, I feel like I haven't really had a chance to sit down and be like, oh, let me think about the WBC until very, very recently. So
fair.
Looking more so at the teams that are playing in each of the pools. For the San Juan pool, I gotta say, the Cuban team looks really good. I'm excited about them, but I also would not count out the Puerto Rican team. I think either of those teams is probably going to take that pool. As far as Pool B that's playing in Houston, I would probably give it to USA. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like I'm biased, but it's like the Olympics. I want the US team to do really well, but also wouldn't count out Mexico. As far as Pool C that's playing in Tokyo, I think it's got to go to defending champs, Japan. But the Korean team also looks really solid. The D pool that's playing in Miami, again, I think it's hard not to think that the Dominican team is going to take it, but I would not count out the Venezuelan team. I feel like there's always those spotlight players that you're always really excited to see. The USA team has a ton of really great talent on it, but some of the talent that is on some of the other teams, I was kind of surprised to see things like, I think Josh Chisholm is playing for Great Britain, which was something I was a little surprised to see. And
Cheerio.
I would love to hear his British accent. I really, really would. And then certain things like, the Canadian team, I for some reason, I'm always surprised to find out when baseball players are from Canada, even though they're literally right up there.
True.
And there's so many great players. You got Josh Naylor going up there. You've got Denzel Clark, who I did not know was from Canada. And I think that overall, Canada might be my dark horse because I'm putting it out there. Canada might be my dark horse.
I will say they do have
folks.
Bodybuilder Tyler O'Neill, who moonlights as a baseball player, roaming the outfield.
There you go.
I saw him today too, and he's looking to be in good form. So I would not count out Canada.
I got some names. Just want to throw. We're doing this throw out thing. I want to throw something out. Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Logan
Wow.
Webb, Joe Ryan, Michael Waka, and in the bullpen, wait for it, Mason Miller, Griffin Jacks. He can do it in the front, in the back, East or West Coast. Clay Holmes coming over from the Mets to lock down the bullpen. Who's behind the dish? Cal Raleigh. And who's perusing the diamond but Alex Bregman? Diamond hands. Goldschmidt catching the ball at first. And Witt and Gunnar Henderson fighting over shortstop. USA looks good.
USA is, I think, probably the most stacked team. And that just might be me being knee deep in MLB 24/7. So I think that I'm just gonna say it. I think USA has a really great chance to win. As long as everybody's locked in and everybody's really there to be there, I think that they'll have a good time, and I think that they will go all the way. That's just me. So,
Money. Byron Buxton, 4 for 4, 4 grand slams.
Byron Buxton, who was
Let's
finally healthy last year and had his 5 WAR season that we've been waiting for a decade.
for real.
Man, that hit so well, just seeing Byron put it all together. My dark horse, because ultimately I think United States has probably an upward of 50% chance of winning the whole thing. Probably 50 to 55. But my dark horse is Venezuela, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. So you have Ranger Suarez. You have Luinder Avila in the bullpen. Bizardo in the bullpen. So you have a few arms. They're a little light on the pitching. They do have Eduardo Rodriguez starting, but he hasn't been very good recently. But offensively, the two Contreras brothers, Salvi, Luis Ariz, and this is a Luis Ariz pod. He's a friend of the show. So
Okay.
so we support Luis. Michael Garcia.
I was a Padres fan for the second half of last season, so
there we go.
All good.
There we go. Yeah, there were rumors
Perfect.
that Luis maybe didn't get along with one or two guys in the Padres dugout.
They got a rise out of him.
And then you got Gino, Glaber, you got Acuna Jr., Jackson Churia, Willier. And then listen to this. Hitting coach Miggy Cabrera, best shape of his life.
Ooh.
And then Johan Santana, pitching coach.
Okay. All right. It's Venezuela.
Yeah.
They won. Give him the medal. Roll the credits. Miggy's the hitting coach, and Johan Santana.
Don't forget
is the
best
pitching
shape
coach.
of
Are you
his
kidding me?
life. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
But I have Venezuela here. So.
All right. Yeah.
Johnny?
Hot take. I'm going to side with Courtney on this one. It's Team USA because, best shape of his life, Miggy Cabrera. The only thing that trumps that is Mark DeRosa riding a horse, ripping lucky strikes in the dugout, pacing back and forth on a stallion. And I think that's what's going to be happening for Team USA.
Is D-Row a lucky strikes guy? Oh.
No,
okay.
but he ought to be. He could take it up a notch. He could gravel his voice nicely. But all things aside, we did, like you, buried the lead of Churio, really bringing some power to Venezuela's lineup and some youth as well. I kind of buried the lead with USA by omitting the fact that Aaron Judge is holding down the outfield.
That's true.
It's like all those studs in the pen. You got Skubal and Skeens, enough said. Aaron Judge in the outfield. I think you could win the league with that. You could win a World Series with that.
One thing I will say is that Tarek Skubal, I think it was announced today that he's only going to pitch one of the pool games because he wants to get back to spring training with the Tigers.
Him, Framber Valdez, and the Justin Verlander reunion tour. Wow. Guess he's serious about Detroit. What do you think, Courtney? What did you like most, I guess, about kind of a sharp pivot here, but the Tigers had me thinking, like, Framber Valdez going over there, Verlander going over there. That's some pretty big moves. What are some of your favorite moves from this offseason?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm a Ryan O'Hearn stan, like 10 toes down. Like,
Whoa.
I will go to war for
Let's
Ryan
go.
O'Hearn. So my Christmas wish was that Ryan O'Hearn would get a big fat contract, and he did. So I think the
Nice.
Pirates did great. The Pirates scooped up Ryan O'Hearn, Brandon Lau, Mason Montgomery, and Marcell Ozuna in a kind of a late trade or a late pickup. So I think those were some of my favorite moves. However, I'm an Orioles fan through and through. I think the Orioles won the offseason, personally.
Whoa.
I think signing Pete Alonso was one of the biggest cheering moments that Baltimore Orioles fans have had in years of off seasons, where we have been begging the front office to really go out and be aggressive and get us the pieces that we need to actually make it all the way through and get all the way to the World Series. Pete Alonso,
Right.
Taylor Ward, Blaze Alexander. I was telling Aiden before you hopped on, I am at spring training. So I saw the Orioles play the Tigers yesterday. I saw them play the Braves today, and I see them play the Twins tomorrow. I think after the 2025 season, the core group that the Orioles had definitely they knew where they had to step up and where they had to meet the moment. But they also needed front office to meet them and say, hey, we need a couple of pieces here. Especially with as many injuries as they ran into last year. They've already run into a couple of injuries this year with Jordan Westberg and Jackson Holiday. So I think that the pieces
True.
that they brought in have already kind of began to click into place as ways that the team can still function without some of those heavy hitters. So I'm so glad to see that working out for them. I personally think my favorite trade from the winter, I have to say Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez.
Whoa.
Whoa. So what do you think about Grayson's elbow? Do you think Grayson's elbow is spaghetti?
We're just
jumping
getting into it? We're just getting into it? Okay.
The Grayson files. Tell us.
I personally think Grayson's elbow is spaghetti. And last year he spent the entire season rehabbing, and then he went to AAA, and we were like 3 weeks away from getting him back. And he was in Norfolk, and they were like, oh, he's had a setback in his rehab. So like he has no ETA for when he's coming back. So it felt like, and I said this on Glove Actually, in one of like our episodes back in like October, November of 2025. It was that bit from American Horror Story from the first season where she goes, he said there's going to be a swimming pool. There's not going to be a swimming pool, you stupid slut. It's that, but with Grayson Rodriguez.
Nice reference.
He said Grayson Rodriguez is coming back this season. Grayson Rodriguez isn't coming back this season, you stupid slut. So it's that. So for us to have to watch him just go back and forth and have so many setbacks, like it's exactly what I was saying. The Orioles need people who are major league ready now. And a lot of the farm system is really pumping up and is getting to the point where they're almost ready to meet that moment. But we needed other guys and other puzzle pieces who are ready to meet that moment now. Grayson Rodriguez is just not one of those guys. I don't know if he's going to pitch this season. I don't know if he's ever going to pitch again. Same with Felix Bautista.
Heads up, I didn't know this. Weo. It's now a Baltimore Orioles pod because you're here and I have questions.
Let's go.
So anytime I, as a listener, tune into a baseball podcast and people start talking out the sides of their mouths about the Houston Astros, I flare up and I just go, you don't know what you're talking about. That's where you're wrong, kiddo. Right, because I know the hot takes. We, the general listener, we are the Greek chorus, and we are dying to know what is going on with Baltimore's arms. Is there hope for the pitching staff? Because as an armchair observer of the baby birds, I've been rooting for the baby birds coming through the system. You got Gunnar, we can name them all. Kobe Mayo, Jackson Holiday, Adley Rutschman. We're all excited to see them. The window feels like it's closing. The RBers are dwindling. Zach Eflin has come and gone. Corbin Burns has come and gone. And I don't want to take the black pill. I want to take the bird pill. So what are we looking forward to? What does the situation look like this year?
Again, the Orioles were really aggressive in the offseason. I think pitching was a priority. Did they go out and get the ace that they were looking for? No. We tried to get Ranger Suarez. We didn't get him. We even tried to get Framber Valdez, who I personally like. He's with the Tigers. Great. I'm so happy that he got signed somewhere. But the dude was going around with a PowerPoint presentation that basically said, I'm a nice person. What are you talking about?
I didn't know that.
Like, why do you have to bring that into
Courtney, hold on. Tell me that. Can you seriously tell me that you're not convinced when someone tells you and does a PowerPoint on how they're a nice guy? You don't believe that they're a nice guy? I mean, come on.
A Cesar Salazar's chest protector has words for this.
So I would just like to say, as a woman in the year of our Lord 2026, I can't just go on someone's word that they're a nice guy. That's just
true.
That's the
true.
end of the sentence there. So as far as Framber Valdez went, I really didn't want us to be in a position where I think one of the strongest things that the Baltimore Orioles have going for them is their clubhouse. Generally speaking, it's a team that gels well. And I think Framber Valdez would have just been some kind of weird kind of like glob that would have sort of dragged the team down a little bit. And so I'm happy that someone else picked him up. I'm glad that they are excited about the possibility of what he'll do for the team. But I didn't really see that potential there with us. So I was really, really happy that we got Ryan Helsley, especially with Felix Bautista probably being out for an entire another season. We needed another solid closer. We got that. As far as the other pieces that we've gotten, we got Andrew Kittredge back from the Cubs. He was always really solid for us. We unfortunately had to deal him at the deadline just because the Orioles knew the season was cooked. The Orioles knew the season was cooked back in May. Let's be real.
Yeah, definitely.
So we
Shane Baz
and Chris Bassett. Those were the two kind of wild card moves that, again, I didn't really see that coming, but I'm thrilled that we have a little bit more of a strong rotation as far as our starters go. We did also re-sign Zach Eflin for an additional year. So
that was great.
The number one thing that I think all of the fans of Baltimore right now are kind of wondering is who is going to be that like 5-man starting rotation. I think, and this has been kind of tossed around a lot, they might actually probably start the season with a 6-man rotation. And I don't see that being a problem. I think to your point, I know that you said what's going on with the arms in Baltimore. I actually think this is kind of a league-wide problem. And this is something that I've spoken about before. I think that the way pitching has evolved since, the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, I think everyone is trying to be shoving at 102 miles an hour like a Mason Miller every single pitch. And that's just not realistic. It's the same thing about how every player, when they step up to the plate, they're trying to hit a home run. That's not what wins ball games.
Right.
What wins ball games is people getting on base and, just the small ball of it all. So I think that for pitchers, there's a lot of pressure to deliver at that ace level all the time. And I just don't think that putting ace expectations up to every single pitcher is fair. So I think that
with you,
I think that they got to do what they're good at. They have to understand what they're good at. And I think that the expectations kind of need to be lowered a little bit. Yes, we've had some fantastic arms over the years. For example, Clayton Kershaw, the Justin Verlanders. In this day and age of baseball pitching, it's not likely that we are going to see a lot of Justin Verlanders or Clayton Kershaws because these guys are wearing their arms out and they're needing Tommy John surgery after, a year or two in the majors.
So, I agree. I mean, you look at how 200 innings is the new 250, I would argue. And
yeah,
I think like 150 innings is like the new 180 or 190. I mean, 150 innings is considered a full season by a starter. You have a guy like Edward Cabrera, and Johnny, you might have this, but I think he's only thrown 100 innings once. I think he threw 130 last year. And that's not abnormal, right? But
yeah,
Edward Cabrera cost some top prospects for Chicago, and Jed Hoyer had to put together a package to get a few years of Edward Cabrera, 3 years of him. And so even if you do have a guy who is 130 innings, 105 to 110 ERA plus, I mean, that's valuable now. You don't really have the guy who throws 200 innings, sub 3 ERA, bank on it. Like those guys don't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
Certainly not to the extent that they do now. That being said, when you look at the Orioles last year, 24th in rotation ERA, 4.65. And
although one thing I do want to interject is that if Trevor Rogers had a full season, he would have had the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball.
But another way of looking at that is if Trevor Rogers wasn't incredible last year, the Orioles, might have had the worst starting pitching in the American League. Yeah.
26, 27, 28.
Yeah. I mean, probably not worse than the Rockies at 6.65.
You know what? That's why I didn't say 29th or 30th.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think the Nationals and the Rockies got him beat. But here's my question. So Ruben signs by the Orioles. And right now the projected total tax for 2026 tax payroll is a little over 200 million, which is 44 million below the CBT threshold.
Okay.
And to me, the question here is, are the Rubensteins really, the right people to own this team? If when they're coming in, they're buying this club and they're not even close to the CBT. I mean, is that concerning to you that they didn't go out and get somebody like Fromber for 30, 35 million a year when you have 44 million in space?
So speaking to David Rubenstein and Framber Valdez, I know that the Orioles were one of the landing places that Framber Valdez was projected to land. As far as how competitive the Orioles were in that conversation, I'm not sure. The Tigers were also obviously a part of that conversation. And this was also, I believe, before the arbitration with Tarek Skubal had figured itself out. So I think that ultimately, was there any way that the Tigers were going to give up Tarek Skubal? Absolutely not. So I think that it was probably a conversation with the owners figuring out how competitive could they truly be to get Framber Valdez in addition to the other arms that they currently have. And I think it may have been that they just edged out what David Rubenstein was and the Orioles were able to offer him. So granted, after that, that's when we got Chris Bassett. That's when we got, that.
Which I like. I like that.
I do too. I think that that's a great move. I think he's going to bring a great veteran energy. And I think
180 innings, 4 ERA.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Let's go.
100%. So I think that he's a really strong addition to our rotation. I think that in the offseason, there really wasn't a whole lot of premium pitching available. So once some of those bigger pieces had started to move,
right.
I think the Orioles, and they said that the Orioles had him on their short list for the 2023 season. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work. But we were able to get Chris Bassett. So I'm confident with the moves that we've made in the offseason. Would I have liked to see them be a little bit more aggressive and spend a little bit more money? Yes. However, I think that one thing that the Baltimore fan can kind of understand is that they don't want to run themselves into another Chris Davis scenario.
Right. Sure.
So
Man, are you still having nightmares from Chris Davis? By the way, all-time good guy, Chris Davis.
Yes, 100%.
The Chris Davis pod.
Yes. So
great guy.
Great guy. Great guy. The reality of it was that when they signed Pete Alonso, everyone was like, oh, is this going to be Chris Davis 2.0? So I think that with respect to the amount of money that they've spent and the pieces that they've pulled in, I think they were trying to get good value for what they got, but also not undercut these guys for their worth. So I feel fairly confident, and I'm pleased with where we kind of ended up. Now, with the extra wiggle room that we have with the CBT, yes, they probably could have spent more. Am I mad about it? Not necessarily, as I would have been if, we had been at this same spot, but also not signed Pete Alonso. I think I would have felt differently. But with the Pete Alonso signing, I feel like that was, it was almost an insurance move to make sure that the fans understood that the front office was serious. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it made the offseason for Baltimore, but.
Oh, it absolutely did. Yeah. And that's not to discredit some of the other teams. There's been other teams that have made some amazing moves. Like I mentioned, the Pirates made great moves. The Red Sox made great moves. Obviously, the Dodgers made some good moves. But I don't want to hear anyone tell me that the Dodgers won the offseason when they got two players.
I will say, though, that roster is already stacked, right? So
the roster was already stacked. So I mean,
Kyle Tucker, Edwin Diaz, two studs, right?
Those are two very big pieces. So I get you.
Edwin, didn't look very good when he was jumping around in the WBC, but
brutal, bro. That's not fair.
Really tough, really tough.
Oh my God.
But he has had the comeback arc that any anime character would die to have.
This is an anime podcast now. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Naruto would like Edwin Diaz's arc. Edwin has really done well for himself.
Kyle Tucker is also Abraham Lincoln, so Kyle Tucker has no pulse and is Abraham Lincoln and
ice in the veins.
Yeah, good outcome, bad outcome. He's going to have the same laconic, nonplussed, bored, not lazy, but very laissez-faire attitude. It's wonderful.
I want to get to this, guys, because we got about 15 left here. CBA, the potential stoppage. And if you want, we can throw in the Tony C scandals as well. If anyone has anything to say on that, it's all kind of tied together.
As far as the collective bargaining potential stoppage for 2027, I have got to say, I would love to see a more competitive league. So if you take a look if you break it down into the divisions, the AL East is a very competitive division, especially this year with how much Baltimore spent in the offseason. I think that is always a really competitive division.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have divisions like the NL West, where you have the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies, who spent $4 American dollars in the offseason.
And they've also literally never won the division. They've never won the NL West.
So you've got so many divisions where, let's look at, oh my God, why am I completely blacking out on where everyone is sitting?
AL West.
Okay, AL West. So you got the Braves, you got the Marlins, you got the Phillies, the Nationals, and the Mets. The Mets had an amazing offseason. That's the other thing I will say. They lost Pete Alonso, but they got Bo Bichette. Who else? Oh my God, who else? They got Marcus Semien.
Yeah.
They got
Freddie Peralta.
They got Luis Roberts Jr. Luke
yeah.
Weaver,
Oh, yeah.
Jorge Polanco.
Oh, yeah.
Devin Williams, the airbender.
Yes, absolutely. So they did lose, I think, what was it, like 10 or 11 guys, but they got like 7 or 8, like really good names.
Yeah.
So I think when you have a team that like Philadelphia, a team like New York, the Braves are in, I feel like, a little bit of a rebuild. They might have a shot this year. They played really well today, I'll tell you that. And then you also have teams like Washington that are in complete rebuild. They just lost Mackenzie Gore. So go ahead.
Let's pause onto the Braves, because I like what you're hitting on there. Like, can they be competitive? I think that's a really interesting conversation, considering the run that they've had. I mean, they have one of the best executives in the league, and Anthopoulos, who used to run Toronto, obviously. The thing for me with the Braves, you did have a lot of guys who had regression seasons and theoretically should bounce back, like your Austin Rileys, your Ozzies. Matt had a decent year, but probably could have been better. Michael Harris could have been better. I mean, really, that offense was buoyed by Drake Baldwin winning the Rookie of the Year. The rest of the team wasn't great, right? And then from a starting pitcher standpoint, they've had some serious injuries, like Smith, Shaw over there, Tommy John last June. So he should be back at some point this year. But Schwellenbach out for the year.
Yeah.
Strider obviously has health problems regularly. And then you have Sale, who isn't exactly the picture of health himself. Ronaldo Lopez, who I think pitched in one game last year before going down.
Did Charlie Morton retire?
Charlie, no, he left, right? I think.
Yeah, where did he go?
Someone brought Uncle Charlie in, right?
Uncle Chuck, dude.
I hope so. We had him last year in Baltimore, and then at the deadline, he went to Detroit.
Man, did Chuck retire?
They DFA'd him, and he went, and then Atlanta picked him back up. And then he was walking off the field during his last start, and he, like, his wife and his kids were there, and he got a huge standing ovation because he's like 167 in pitcher years.
Yeah, I
think so. I think that's actually exactly right. 167.
Yeah,
the Braves were great
in pitcher years. Yeah,
when they came off the 21 World Series. I was pretty intimidated by their ball club, and then they had this moment where it was like Fried and Strider were like 1-2, or reverse that order. It was Strider, Fried. And then Strider goes down for TJ. Like, at that moment in time, I was like, oh, this is a dynasty. And they're just going to go. And they're going to win like 2 more World Series. And Acuna is going to get over his knee crap. And then Strider goes down. The next year, Fried gets sold to the Yankees in free agency. And Acuna is like doing things with his ACL again. And it's like, okay. And at that moment, you still have a shot. Obviously, youth, Anthopoulos. But then it just takes like one Michael Harris year and then one regression for Austin Riley. And you're just like, well, now the Braves are somebody we're talking about on a podcast pre-2026 season as, are they going to do it or not? And I think that's how we got here. It's interesting. It's not really a fall from grace or even necessarily a rebuild as much as like, what are we doing? A
series of unfortunate events.
Totally. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, starting pitching was, I think, 22nd in the league last year. Bullpen was 19. And then the offense, obviously, we saw some regression there. And I do think some of those things will correct themselves. But, yeah, the Braves were 14th in WRC plus in baseball, so middle of the pack. And, the Phillies brought the band back, and the Mets are adding. I just don't know that there's enough firepower with the Braves. Like, Jerks and Profar is the big move after you lose Marcelo Zuna, who was like shockingly good for Atlanta for a couple of years there.
That was wild. Yeah. With the lime
he
green
looked like Barry Bonds, man. He was ridiculous.
I know. Oh my God. I'm looking forward to seeing him with Pittsburgh though this year. When Pittsburgh picked up Ryan O'Hearn, I was like, okay, so clearly I'm watching Pittsburgh this season. Who else are we going to get?
Clearly.
So I'm saying we, because they're my team now.
The Royal the Royal Buccaneers.
The Royal exactly.
Ahoy.
Exactly. So it was a move I was excited about. Now, were there a couple moves that I wish the Pirates would continue to make? Yes. Namely, where's Andrew McCutchen?
Well, they're not going to have...
Why is no one signing him for his victory lap?
He's with Carmen Sandiego.
Clearly.
Now, with the CBA thing, I think it's about bringing poor teams more towards the mean, right? And
yes,
parity.
Right, some parity. One of the things, though, about this offseason is the winner. One of the winners to me, besides the Jays and obviously the genius of Dana Brown and the Astros and what they've done, is the Pirates and the White Sox. And we're always talking about poor teams not doing enough. Colorado Rockies are the poster children of this. And then you have the Pirates proving everyone wrong. The Pirates don't spend money. The Pirates are going to sell Paul Skeens for a chunk of change and a Cadillac and a refresh farm system. And it's like, really? That's what you did to get Skeens with a high draft pick. But this year they're going all in on some Ryan O'Hearn, Marcell Ozuna action. Like, oh man, that's exciting. So what does that mean for the CBA? I guess, Aiden, how do you want to frame this with the last little 5 minutes here?
Yeah, I think I got it. So let me ask, and we'll go round table here. So, some Arthurian style stuff here. What do you guys think? Salary floor, yes or no? Salary cap, yes or no? What does everyone think?
I say yes to both.
I say yes to both.
Now, what should that floor be and what should the cap be, right? And then do you want a hard cap or do you want like a soft cap with penalties?
I mean, go ahead.
I want the floor to be the maximum spending power of the poorest team, so they're forced to use all their bullets. And I want the salary cap to be something that acknowledges that what the Dodgers have done isn't just witty. It feels like credit default swaps. It feels like derivative financial trading. It feels like betting on things it feels banky.
Gross.
Let's not do that. So I don't know what the answer is for the cap. I don't have a number, so I'll pass there. I'm eager to hear what you all have to say.
I don't necessarily have a specific number in mind, but I think that what I would like to see is a salary cap that makes it would encourage the front office to exercise more creativity with how they structure their bonuses, maybe.
Ooh.
I think that could be interesting.
Bonuses for players?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that if that were to differ team to team, it would give players different incentives to join different teams. Like there are teams that are getting completely shut out of the conversation simply because the players want nothing to do with them. And I think that if there was more parity and there was more of an equal conversation from these teams, then it would give the players more options and it would also increase their agency. And it would give them an opportunity to say like, okay, for example, Corbin Burns, when Baltimore let him go, they were trying to get him back, but ultimately his family's in Arizona. So,
right.
Well, right. Sure. Right.
And they can use some of that personal decision-making.
That's an advantage.
Decision-making. It's an advantage. Yeah. And I think so if there were different incentives coming from different teams to kind of give a little bit of variety and give them choices, I feel like it would also empower them to choose more. What's the word I'm looking for? Not decisively, but to choose more thoughtfully, maybe.
More of a human element to the game.
Exactly.
So
that's what I like to see.
I have two last things for you guys as we wrap up here on this topic. So one, do you think that players should get paid earlier, instead of having the 3 preseason or the pre-arb seasons, right? So you need those 3 years of service, making the minimum. Do you like that structure? And then you have the 3 arb years, unless you're a Super 2, obviously. Do you like that structure, or do you feel like with the shrinking class of free agent players who are making money, we need to get money into these young players' pockets faster? Like, what do you guys think about that? Because I expect that to be a pretty big topic.
I don't see what one has to do with the other. Shrinking free agent class, getting money into the pockets of the youngsters. Can you maybe clarify?
Well, meaning it's increasingly becoming that there's less and less guys who are getting that big payday, let's say year 7 of
Sure.
your career. And so the idea is, well, should these guys get paid a little more upfront since there's less and less guys who are getting that payday would be the idea, right?
I think if it blends somehow into the CBA of I was thinking about this in terms of what would I do with a salary cap, and I think that there has to be some limit where the cream over the top, what if that flows down to better salaries for AAA or AA or people in their ARB years? We raise the major league minimum. I would like that, things going back to a pool to affect the league-wide salaries, because the constant is roster number, right? It's not like, oh, I play in the AAA system for the Reds, so I've got 74 guys. That's a constant. I think that would be interesting, and I'll be human myself. Like when I see AA ball and AAA ball, I really think about these people and their families. I think about the risks they're taking. And I think about in other
Absolutely.
sports, it's like you either make it or you don't, and you find out quick. The feedback is very fast in football, very quick in basketball. It's not this like, I'm going to go linger and ride a bus in motels for 10 years. So that's
Yeah.
my take. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's where my heart goes.
That's also, I do want to say that is kind of similarly where my heart goes. I feel like a lot of what these guys are staring down the barrel of, especially when they're on the cusp of getting like a major league contract, their first major league contract,
Right.
they're thinking about, what am I going to do with this money? What problems is this money going to solve for me?
Right.
And again, that comes from a very human place. So I'm right there with you. I view the game, and I like seeing the players as human beings. I hate that this industry, I'm going to call it, kind of views them as like big hunks of meat sometimes. And so I like to make it as human as possible whenever I can. And especially when it comes to their salaries and how much money they're making, they are passing that on to their families more times than not. So seeing the guys get better contracts and more structurally sound contracts, I feel like if it's more competitive all the way around, there's not necessarily as much of a push to, hit the most home runs. There's not necessarily this push to wear out your body to the point that you need Tommy John surgery on your arm.
Exactly what I was going to say.
So I think that ultimately it's like any other job. When you're making a wage that you are able to comfortably provide for the people that you love, the stress level goes down.
Correct.
And
you
when
stop
your
pressing.
stress level is down,
Right.
you don't have to push yourself as hard, because you're already able to kind of get there. So I think if there's more equality, if everyone's not necessarily worried about being at like getting a Juan Soto contract,
Right.
then there's going to be more opportunity for everything to kind of even out a little bit more.
Yeah,
Well,
I think league minimum of like $1 million is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love your point. It echoes Passan's, the arm, the idea, one of the foundational arguments for why Tommy John is this pressing and velo maxing and over specialization and over focus at a young age with tournament ball and all this. I think, a good counter to the anticipated counter of, well, that's going to remove the incentive. I don't think so. I think, baseball roster spots are scarce enough. I think I think the Juan Soto contract or something close to it is enough of a carrot on a stick to push people to still be competitive, to still make those scarce spots. Yeah, I think that if we can just help out like AAA, AA a little bit here, people can stop pressing so much and hopefully take a little bit of stress off that flexor tendon. Aiden.
Yeah, so my comment on this is it's not even as much the MLB minimum that I'm concerned with, though I think it could be a little higher. It's actually more so the strat and the variance with the minors. Like you look at how similar the talent level is, AAA to big leagues. I mean, there are differences, right? It's like, well, this guy can hit fastballs, can't hit the breaking ball, so
Right.
he lives in AAA, right? Now, that's okay, but ultimately, you're probably using that guy here or there throughout the year, multiple seasons. And so my argument would be that if that guy is on the fringes to that extent, if he's on the 40-man roster or if he's just been around a while, he should be making more than $1,200 a week, right?
Yeah.
The minimum salary right now in AAA is $36K. You go all the way down to rookie ball where it's $20K. I think that's too low. I understand it more with rookie ball than I do with the higher levels. Partially because if you're a 20-year-old kid, it's your first season, it's probably not the end of the world if you're not making a lot of money.
Sure.
But if you're 4 or 5 seasons into your minor league career and you're grinding, I think you got to be paying a livable wage. And
Absolutely.
we're just not there, right? But when you look at a guy like Juan Soto or one of those contracts, I mean, I don't know. It feels like there's enough money to bump those minor league salaries a little bit.
Before we sign off, I want to give you some time, though, Courtney, to plug your socials and your podcast and a little bit about yourself, too, before we wrap up here.
So I am one of the 3 hosts of Glove Actually. We are a all-girl baseball podcast, and we talk about every single facet that you can possibly think of. We have, some fun recurring segments. Our trademark recurring segment is our Pookie of the Week. So that's just generally speaking, someone you love and want to give a shout out to. Could be someone who's having a good week. It could be someone who's having a not good week. And it all just kind of depends and it flows. And they're your Pookie of the Week. We do recommended media, and we kind of tie in all different types of media that is somehow related to baseball. We always relate it back to baseball. So we are on Instagram. You can find us at Glove Actually Pod on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok at Glove Actually. And then you can listen to the Glove Actually podcast on Spotify. We're up on YouTube and Apple and Amazon podcasts as well.
Thank you very much. And I have a recommendation for Pookie of the Week.
Oh, please.
Oh,
I would just
Johnny
keep an eye out for this young cat pulled back to the Stros from the Jays, stud outfielder Joey Loperfido.
Okay. All right.
Keep out an eye for the stud.
Keep an ear out because you might just hear him mentioned on the pod.
Let's go.
Yeah, so Courtney, and I think the Joey shout out will be sick because it's time to get on the Glove Actually bandwagon audience. MLB is already on that bandwagon.
They are.
Things are getting hot. There's a lot of helium with Glove Actually right now. So we're very excited to have you on, Courtney. You're awesome. And thanks for joining.
Absolute
Thank you
pleasure.
so much for having me. I was going to say you guys are welcome back anytime. You're officially friends of the pod. So
yes.
Yes.
Look, Ma, I made it.
You call me anytime. I would love to chat with you guys all day.
Cheers. Well, it's It's been wonderful. Everyone, thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Painting Corners Baseball Podcast with your special guest, Courtney from Glove Actually. You can follow her on all their socials, TikTok, Instagram, and the Glove Actually Podcast. You'll be hearing more from Aiden and I next Monday night, the end of spring training. But for now, follow us. All of our articles coming out at painting-corners.com for all the hot takes every week. John and Aiden and Courtney signing off.
From spring into fall. Aiden's talking facts, John's postulating them all. Through training camp, the dog days, seasons ebbs and flows, losing streaks and winning ones.